My name is Adisib Zawork. I am a social welfare specialist and I work for UNICEF in Ethiopia. In this module, you will learn about legal frameworks for social protection. The discussion will look at the main aspects we need to consider, and this will include what a social protection legal framework is and its purposes, the role of the main international and regional legal instruments for national legal social protection systems, the major aspects a social protection legal framework should cover, how to develop a social protection legal framework in a participatory process, and the different compliance and enforcement mechanisms for social protection laws. In order to deep dive into the major aspects that will be presented in this module, we first need to understand what a legal framework for social protection is and why it is important. A strong legal framework is a vehicle to uphold human rights principles in the governance, administration, and delivery of social protection services. What does this mean? It does not mean states must provide social protection to everyone immediately. It means that states need to ensure the progressive realization of the right to social protection for everyone in need of protection. It also means that those who receive social protection are clearly identified and have a clear right to social protection that is embedded in equality of treatment, including gender equality, non-discrimination, respect for the inherent dignity of all, and the protection of privacy. Importantly, a legal framework gives the state a mandate to provide social protection services, while at the same time, it gives citizens clarity on their rights and entitlements to social protection. In short, a strong legal framework for social protection is a social contract that guarantees that everyone in need of protection will be protected. Such a social contract should be informed by a human rights-based approach. A human rights-based approach to social protection identifies rights holders and their entitlements on the one hand, and corresponding duty bearers and their obligations on the other, and works towards strengthening the capacities of rights holders to make their claims and of duty bearers to meet their obligations. In short, it protects individuals from arbitrariness. A legal framework gives poor and vulnerable people clarity in a number of areas. It indicates the specific benefits that may be available to them. It establishes individual rights and obligations. It sets the criteria they have to meet in order to qualify for such benefits. It provides for mechanisms to ensure transparency and access to information, non-costly procedures that need to be followed in order to access these benefits. It also provides for complaints and appeal mechanisms to be available, and it provides for participation channels for beneficiaries. In the absence of such a legal framework, social protection programs can be fragmented and policies can lack coherence. Budget allocations for social protection may not be prioritized, leading to underfunding of programs. Also, the allocation rules can change without any consultations. There will not be a mechanism for compelling the state to take action in the provision of social protection services. Law enforcement institutions will not be able to monitor the actions of the state in regard to provision of social protection. Additionally, in the absence of binding legal framework, there will be little or no incentive for the state to deliver social protection programs effectively. Very well then, where do we start? When we talk about legal frameworks for social protection, we must consider international and regional standards as they play a prominent role in determining the scope and content of social protection services and benefits. It is important for each country to determine the type, nature, level, and progressive universal reach by categories of need and social risk according to national needs and circumstances. Let's briefly explore some of the main international and regional instruments. The 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights emphasizes the right of every person to Social Security and to an adequate standard of living in its Article 22 and 25. The ILO's landmark Social Security Convention, Convention number 102 of 1952, sets a framework for basic Social Security. The United Nations International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights of 1966, one of the most widely endorsed international instruments, recognizes the right of everyone to Social Security and to an adequate standard of living, including those who are unemployed. This convention allows for progressive realization of rights. The Africa Union's Social Policy Framework for Africa of 2008 provides for a minimum package of essential, publicly financed social protection programs. The ILO Recommendation 2002 of 2012 provides a guidance on establishing comprehensive social protection systems, including the need to embed such systems by national laws. Now, while these international and regional instruments and standards provide the foundation for a legal framework, the extent to which they are fully embedded in national legal systems will vary. National constitutions are important avenues. For example, Article 43 of the Constitution of Kenya recognizes the right of every person to Social Security and that the state shall provide appropriate Social Security to persons who are unable to support themselves and their dependents. Section 27 of the Constitution of South Africa grants everyone the right to have access to Social Security, including if they are unable to support themselves and their dependents. And the same section obliges the state to implement appropriate measures. It's important to note that though many countries may have the right to social protection explicitly enshrined in their constitution, a legal framework for social protection can still be contained in national laws. Social protection laws can also be further elaborated in regulations and standard operating procedures and manuals to guide activities. Imagine you are wondering how to actually build a national legal framework for social protection in your country. Keep up with this module's proposed activities, and at the end, you will have better understanding of how to build accountability in your legal framework, how your legal framework can provide for compliance and enforcement mechanisms, the main social accountability mechanisms and how they can be made available to clients of social protection services, and how inspections and acts against non-complying persons and agencies may be provided for in legislation. That's it for now. Goodbye.